Greetings everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of Some Bond Geek Talks About with me, your host, the name Stevens, Henry Stevens. Everybody, how'd you do? Hope you're well. Hope you're enjoying a good Bond film, a good Bond book, a good Bond video game, a good James Bond, whatever makes you part of this glorious fandom, everybody. Welcome. And today we're going to chat about something that all of us Bond fans experience, and I'm going to talk about my personal experience with my very first, if you will, wilderness years. Yes, that is the time period where a actor leaves the role of James Bond. We wait a bit till we get the new actor to play James Bond and the new style and tone going forward. You all know what I'm talking about. It happens every so often. But this whole channel is about my experiences with James Bond growing up and everything, and so we're going to chat about my first wilderness years section, because we're going to have a new one soon, which was the time period between Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. So enough, there's a lot to talk about there. But before we get into that, everybody, can I just do my customary bit of house cleaning and beg, please? Can I ask, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, why not subscribe? Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, everybody. Also, click the notification bell icon down below to see future updates and videos. And don't forget, tell me stories about your first wilderness years with James Bond. That'd be really cool, everybody. And as always, just a massive thank you from me to you for coming on here and being part of the show. So as I was saying, you know, this whole time period is a bit like a sort of time of uncertainty, because there's sometimes we're not sure, like, if the actor's really going or if he really is stepping down. Is he going to come back and do one more? What is actually going to happen? How long is it going to be to the next James Bond? You know, what is the style and tone of it? We just don't really know, do we? You know, I do remember a lot of the time there was, for a while after Die Another Day, there was the notion I always understood that Pierce Brosnan was staying and was going to do a fifth James Bond film. I used to read Empire Magazine and Total Film a lot. They're two great, and I'm not sponsored by them in any way, amazing magazines in the UK for film lovers. If you're in the UK, I hope you enjoy Empire Magazine, certainly above all of them. But, you know, there was always talk, I remember seeing in, like, the magazine, like, oh, Brosnan's coming back, or, like, there was things on the news, like, on, I think it was, like, GMTV in the morning when I was younger. It's what we have in the UK now as Good Morning Britain. You know, like, Brosnan's coming back and doing another one, you know, that's all happening and everything. And, you know, they're even talking about a Jinx spin-off. This is the first time I've ever heard the franchise, you know, people talking about maybe let's doing a Jinx spin-off, and it is an absolute thing. It was going to happen, everybody. If you look at some of the behind-the-scenes stuff of the next Bond film, Casino Royale, they were talking about, yes, they were doing a Jinx spin-off, making it more grounded and harder edged. You know, especially with Halle Berry having to say, of course, if you've seen my Die Another Day review, everybody, your mama in every film has a catchphrase. You know, but that was what led them to sort of, you know, as well, help them on the way to want to do Casino Royale. So, you know, they were planning to do spin-offs as well as the original James Bond films, which I think is quite interesting, actually, because they were willing to do it back then. So now with the Amazon going to be owning half James Bond, I think they will be more open to doing potential spin-offs, possibly. So I don't know why everyone's thinking, oh, they won't allow potential spin-offs, but, you know, same. But as I say, I want to go back to just how, you know, Brosnan was either coming or going. Because, you know, as I say, I talked about that a lot. You know, I've learned recently there was even discussion about Quentin Tarantino directing a James Bond film. You know, he wanted to do Casino Royale with Brosnan, set it in the 50s, make it all black and white, literally do the book, you know, per word. I'm not going to lie, I will do a whole video on that as well, but I think that would have been very interesting, certainly. But then something happened, I think, that really sealed the fate of Pierce Brosnan, and that was one of the most greatest tragedies in modern history, which was obviously the attack on 9/11. Everybody, I remember as a kid seeing the news reports and being slightly terrified of what's happened here. You know, I think this is sort of thing, you know, at the age I was, you sort of only seen the movies, you don't really see real life, and realising, you know, this is really serious. And I think as well, Barbara Broccoli said in the documentary Everything or Nothing, you know, the flippancy of the film sort of needed to change, but Bond needed to change, really. And I think enough that sort of maybe sealed the face of Brosnan even before Die Another Day came out of it, where, you know, they needed to do a dramatic change. And I think because of that, they needed a different actor. But they didn't get to that point, I think, straight away, if that makes sense. Because, you know, there were still talks very much for a while of Brosnan carrying on. See, this is the thing. Throughout my whole wilderness years of this time, I kept hearing, you know, Brosnan is still on. Brosnan's still coming back. They're going to do this. They're going to do this. But what really helped in this time period, certainly for me, to get through this stuff, is the video games. This is why, I very much, I'm not an avid gamer, but, I game quite a bit. And I just remember, EA, as much as I'll slate them now for being money-grabbing, we can't say on this channel, in the old days, they used to release such great quality games with such great storylines and gameplay. And the James Bond series, to me, was one of those pinnacles. I mean, you had Nightfire to coincide with the release of Die Another Day, but including that in this sort of wilderness year period, you had Nightfire, you had Everything or Nothing, you did have GoldenEye Road Agent, and you also had From Russia with Love with Sean Connery returning as James Bond. I mean, apart from GoldenEye Rogue Agent, these were really, really great games, everybody. I mean, they really were, and they were virtually being released every 2 years or every year to a point, and they were keeping, if you will, the hunger at bay for James Bond content, because I was getting James Bond, and I was getting, for the most part, I was getting 2 extra Pierce Brosnan adventures that I was playing, obviously Nightfire and Everything or Nothing, and they were really, really great games, everybody, and I love From Russia with Love as a video game as well. It was so fantastic. GoldenEye Rogue Agent, we just try to forget about. I will do a review of these all, by the way, everybody. But they were just really great, and we're keeping the hunger. It's like, even while we're getting no Bond, at least I was getting Bond in a video game format, which was great. And I have to say right now, there was, I don't know if you remember this, but there was rumours going around that actually they decided after 2004 that the next Bond film, which would have had Brosnan, was going to be based on the video game at the time, Everything or Nothing. I will do a whole video on that, everybody, one day, and I have talked about it briefly in my potential Brosnan 5th James Bond film video. But essentially, I'm just going to say right off the bat here, just if you haven't seen those videos yet, I think it would have been a very terrible idea. At the time, I was like, yes, this is going to be amazing. Everything or Nothing now is a movie. You've already got the cast. You've got these amazing sequences. You've got a great storyline for a video game. But I don't think it really will. But after a while, it was a thing about 2004 when I think it was officially declared that Brosnan is out. Okay. So now, obviously, and we still get it now to this day, we get the barrage of potential actors who could play James Bond. Obviously, I've done videos on this in the past. I've done like a whole 3-part saga on actors who could have been James Bond. And part 3 of the videos, which you can see on the screen here right now, is roughly talking about the ones that could have replaced Brosnan after Craig. And, I was hearing names like Jude Law. I was hearing names like Ewan McGregor and Julian McMahon. Obviously, none of them got the part. But, the names will start spinning like, who is the next James Bond? Because at this point, I didn't know, I don't know if it was in the present, I didn't know that they were going to reboot the whole franchise a bit here. But obviously, they went with Daniel Craig. Now, I'm going to talk about Daniel Craig right here, right now, because the first time I sort of became aware of Daniel Craig was in the Lara Croft Tomb Raider movie. Now, I'm a massive Lara Croft Tomb Raider fan, everybody. I love the video games, and for the most part, I've loved the first Angelina Jolie movie, and I love the Alicia Vikander movie, and I love so many of the video games. He was okay in that. He was good. I actually had seen him in other things before that, just not realised it was him. He was in an episode of the show Sharp. He was in Sharp's Eagle. He was also in Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. I had seen him before in the past. But obviously, then he got hired in Layer Cake, and we all know Layer Cake was the film that got the producer thinking he could be the next James Bond. And he was cast, everybody. It was Daniel Craig in the role. I remember at the time there was like rumours like it was going to be Craig, it's going to be Craig. Then there was that leak that happened because of his mum getting so excited that he was cast as the next James Bond. So we all knew before the press conference, which I think, by the way, is absolutely sweet. And I love that story to bits. But I'm not going to be one of these people because who says, "Oh, I was a fan of Craig from the beginning." Because honestly, I was how old was I? Let's just work it out. I was 10 in 2002. So I was 13. I was 13 when he got cast, and my first reaction was, "No, this is a very, very bad choice. I don't think he's James Bond. He doesn't have the look. I can't really see him in that sort of role, being the suave, sophisticated, dangerous James Bond. Well, dangerous maybe I could see him in, but not that slightly suave, sophisticated side of Bond that Fleming wrote. I just couldn't see it, everybody. I wasn't really a fan. I was not one of those people saying boycott the movie. James Bond is not blonde people level. But I was so skeptical, thinking, what the hell have they done here? This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But I won't lie, watching the trailers leading up to seeing where else sort of alleviated a lot of my worries, and obviously in the film he was absolutely fantastic and amazing, wasn't he, everybody? But look, I think that is really summing up the whole wilderness years for me, between Brosnan and Craig. You know, it's a bit of a mixed bag of so many things happening, really enough in the space of 3 years. You know, but I think these wilderness years are important. Now, the reason I think they're important is because they allow the series to sort of reevaluate themselves and slightly give a reboot and give you something new and interesting. And I think it's one of the reasons the series has progressed as much as it has and has always continued to survive. It's the best comparison I can give is Doctor Who. Now, I don't know if any of you are Whovians out there, but obviously, for those of you who don't know the show, the Doctor, the main character, through the power of regeneration, is allowed to change and have a whole new version of himself or herself, as the case may seem. And, you know, with that comes a new style and tone with the show. And Bond's similar in that sense, because obviously you can recast the character and each actor brings a new thing to it. You can go in new directions and try new things with each actor. So I think that, you know, these time periods where there is no Bond film, we don't know what's happening, it allows the engine to sort of stoke and think, what's the next Bond going to be? What's it going to be like? What's the style? Is he going to match up? Is he going to be my new favourite? Is he going to be my least favourite? Where is he going to be? It just pokes that fire, doesn't it, of excitement of what's going to happen next. And do I think it will be so long between Craig's successor and himself, you know, 3 years again? Honestly, no. I think they will, honestly, at the time of recording this, it's 2021. Obviously, we're still waiting for No Time to Die to come out. I think, sincerely, I honestly believe, since No Time to Die got delayed from early 2020, I do not believe for a second that Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson have been twiddling their thumbs, just doing absolutely nothing. I really don't, everybody. I believe very much, full-heartedly, they have been planning what the next era of James Bond's going to be. And I would like to place a bet with you right now. No money, just a bet between us friends. That for the 60th anniversary, maybe sometime in October, November, they will announce the new film for the next year or something. And the new actor taking over the role of James Bond. Come on, for the 60th anniversary, announcing your 7th actor to play James Bond. That's a good way to celebrate the 60th anniversary if we can't do a movie, is it? You know, hopefully we'll also have that new Hitman Project 007 game. So yeah, everybody, that's my experience with the wilderness years, and I want to know, everybody, what are your memories of any wilderness years? Do you remember this time period I'm talking about? How did you feel about it? You know, can you tell me about times like you remember between, like, switching, I don't know, between Dalton and Craig, you know, when it was probably it was a lot longer, or you know, between Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton, or whatever, everybody. Tell me your thoughts and your memories down below, everybody. As always, everybody, my name's Henry Stevens, and this has been Some Bond Geek Talks About. Goodbye.